Nightmare mother-in-law destroyed my life. You won't believe what happened next. The text message glowed on my phone screen, a relic from a life I desperately wanted to forget. Mother-in-law forgot I pay for $1,000 a month for expenses. That simple sentence, now a bitter reminder of the months of abuse and manipulation I endured. I'm Martha, and this is the story of how my marriage imploded, my in-laws turned against me, and how I clawed my way back from rock bottom. Buckle up, because you won't believe what happened next. She asked my hubby, "How much does your new GF earn?" $8,000 a month. Mother-in-law was delighted and told me to get out. I'm Martha, a 28-year-old massage therapist at a local hospital. My day is usually involved in routine treatments until Mrs. Rossi, a feisty retired woman with osteochondrosis, came along. She had a knack for prying into personal matters, which I usually navigated with a mix of professionalism and humor. One afternoon, during a particularly grueling session of kneading knots and soothing aches, Mrs. Rossi's voice cut through the silence. "Martha dear, you have such magical hands. Tell me, what does a job like this pay?" I smiled, continuing my motions, but a sense of unease began to creep into my mind. "Oh, just enough to get by," I said lightly. Disappointment flickered across her wrinkled face. "Only for $1,000. I thought such a skill would fetch more." I shrugged, keeping the conversation light. "Well, it's enough for me. I enjoy the work more than anything." Changing gears abruptly, she suddenly said, "You know who you should meet? My son, Antonio. He's the owner of that Italian restaurant downtown. A real catch, if I may say so myself." I hesitated, recalling the few times I saw Antonio. He was quite charming and easy on the eyes, but I wasn't looking for anything. "I don't know, Mrs. Rossi. I'm quite busy with work." She waved my objections away with a dismissive hand. "Nonsense. A young, attractive woman like you shouldn't be alone. Let me arrange something." It was clear she had already made up her mind. True to her word, a week later, I found myself face to face with Antonio. He was even more charming than I remembered, with a warm smile and eyes that sparkled with humor. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, filled with laughter and shared interests. What started as a casual introduction quickly grew into a serious relationship. One evening, under the twinkling lights of his restaurant, Antonio took my hand and looked deeply into my eyes. "Martha, I've never met anyone like you. Will you marry me?" His proposal took me by surprise, a wave of exhilaration washing over me. "Yes, Antonio," I whispered, "I will." Our wedding was a small affair, but full of love and joy. Afterward, Antonio suggested, "Why don't we move in with my mom? Her house is big, and we could save some money for our future." Initially, life in the Rossi household was harmonious. I helped with chores, and we both contributed to the family expenses. Little did I know that this new chapter of my life would soon take a challenging turn, a dark spiral of resentment and betrayal. Living in the Rossi household started off as an agreeable arrangement, but a few months into our marriage, the cracks began to show. One week evening, after spending the whole day relieving tense muscles and soothing aching joints at the hospital, I came home to a scene of chaos. Dirty dishes piled high, clothes strewn across the floor, and the air thick with unspoken tension. Exhausted, I turned to Antonio. "Antonio, the house is a mess. Can you help me clean up?" I said, trying to hide my frustration. He glanced around, seemingly oblivious to the state of the house. "Oh, it's not that bad, Martha. I had a rough day at the restaurant." I started picking up, the resentment simmering inside me. "But you've been home for a while now. It's only fair we both contribute." He let out a non-committal grunt. "You're better at this stuff than I am. I just get in the way." I found myself doing all the cooking, cleaning, and managing the home while Antonio's contributions became increasingly scarce. A few days later, I decided to have a serious talk with him, my voice trembling with barely contained emotion. "It's becoming overwhelming for me to handle everything alone," I pleaded. He looked up from his phone, his expression indifferent. "What's there to discuss, Martha? You're great at managing the house." "I'm busy with the restaurant." His dismissive attitude stunned, each word a tiny shard of ice piercing my heart. "But we're a team, Antonio. It's not just about being good at something. We should share these responsibilities." A flicker of irritation crossed his face. "Look, I'll try to help out more, but you know my work is demanding. I'm running a whole business." Feeling belittled and misunderstood, I cried out, "It's not about comparing jobs, Antonio. It's about supporting each other." Antonio's promises to help more around the house remained unfulfilled. I found myself spending my few free hours doing household chores, the weight of responsibility crushing me. One evening, as I scrubbed the stubborn stains from the kitchen floor, the reality of my situation hit me hard. The balance in our marriage had shifted dangerously, and I realized that something needed to change. But I wasn't sure how to make Antonio see it too. Then the De Lucas, his family, moved in and marked the beginning of an entirely new nightmare. Antonio broke the news to me nonchalantly, playing it off as if it was a minor inconvenience. "Martha, Luca lost his job. They can't pay rent, so they'll stay with us for a while." My stomach twisted into a knot of dread. "For how long, Antonio?" Our house isn't that big and I'm already stretched thin. Not meat in my eyes, he mumbled, just for a bit. Their family, Martha, we can't turn them away. His family turned our already bustling household upside down. Anna, his sister, was there with her 3 kids aged between 3 and 8. One afternoon, after stepping on a toy car for the umpteenth time, I snapped, Anna, could you please keep an eye on the kids? The house is turning into a war zone. I cried. She looked up, annoyance flickering in her eyes. Martha, I'm busy with my own stuff. You don't have kids. You wouldn't understand. I work too, and it's becoming impossible to manage. I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Well, I guess you just need to get better at multitasking. She shot back, dismissing me with a wave of her hand. I walked away, feeling a mixture of anger and helplessness. When I brought it up with Antonio, hoping for some support, his response was disheartening. Babe, their family, we need to be there for them, he said, not looking up from the TV. But what about us? What about our home? It's turning into chaos. I cried. He waved his hand dismissively. It's not permanent. Weeks turned into months, with no sign of improvement. Lucas spent his days on the computer, while Anna rarely lifted a finger to help. I started to dread coming home. My once peaceful haven was now a source of an endless strife. Each day, I walked into a house that no longer felt like mine, catering to a family that barely acknowledged my exhaustion. The burden of cooking, cleaning, and maintaining order fell entirely on me. Despite my pleas for help, or even just a little consideration, I was met with the same tired responses. You're so good at this, Martha. Or it's just for a little longer. I lay awake at night, wondering how a situation meant to be temporary had become my new overwhelming reality. I felt trapped, undervalued, and utterly alone in a house full of people. The funny thing is that I invested my entire salary in their family every month, all for $1,000, and they took it for granted. And it finally exploded one hectic evening. I came home to the usual chaos and mess. The sight of the unkempt house was the last straw. Antonio, I seeped, finding him lounging on the couch with a beer in hand. This house is a disaster. I'm busting my back at work, and I come home to this mess every day. Antonio looked up, irritation flashing in his eyes. Oh, cut the drama, Martha. It's just a bit messy. You're acting like it's the end of the world. I couldn't contain my frustration any longer. A bit messy. Look around. He stood up abruptly, towering over me, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Lazy? You call this lazy? I worked my ass off at the restaurant while you just robbed people's backs. And now you whine about a few dishes. His harsh words felt like a slap in the face, the culmination of months of pent-up resentment. That's not fair, Antonio. I'm not your maid. This is supposed to be our home. Oh, please, Martha. You're just a freeloader here, living in my house, using our things, and you have the nerve to complain. I was taken aback by her vicious tone. A freeloader, I gasped, feeling my face burn with indignation. Mrs. Rossi, I contribute to this house. I work hard. A real woman takes care of her home and family. She sneered, her eyes filled with venom. I stood there, shaking with a mix of anger, shock, and hurt. Antonio didn't let up. You should be thankful, Martha, that you have a roof over your head because of us. I felt a surge of defiance, a burning desire to break free from this suffocating environment. I am not your servant, Antonio. I am your wife. But it was like talking to a brick wall. They had their mindset, their twisted view of my role in their lives. Lying in bed that night, I realized that this wasn't a home, it was a prison. It was a sobering, painful realization that I was in a battle I was losing. The day Antonio announced he wanted a divorce felt like a surreal nightmare, the culmination for everything that had gone wrong in our marriage. It happened during one of our rare family dinners, the atmosphere already thick with unspoken tension. Everyone, he announced, his voice devoid of the warmth I once knew. I have something to say. I want a divorce. Martha, Antonio, what are you talking about? I stammered, my heart pounding in my chest. He continued, his eyes cold and detached. I've met someone else, Martha. She's better for me. The room went silent, the weight of his words crushing me. Even Mrs. Rossi looked shocked, her carefully constructed facade momentarily crumbling. How much does she earn? She blurted out as if she'd won some prize, her voice dripping with greed. I felt like I had been punched in the gut, the air leaving my lungs. You're leaving me for money, I whispered, my voice barely audible. It's not just about the money, Martha, he said, his eyes avoiding mine. She understands me, unlike you. I was struggling to process everything, the betrayal cutting deep. And you think this is okay? Mrs. Rossi piped up, her voice sharp and laced with disdain. Someone who can actually take care of him. I felt like throwing Antonio. He slid the divorce papers across the table, a finality of the gesture sending a shiver down my spine. My hands trembled as I took the pen, the weight of the situation pressing down on me. Amicably, after everything I've done for this family. Antonio's expression was cold, detached. It's for the best. I signed the papers, the room remaining silent, the only sound being the scratching of the pen on paper. As I stood, I knew I had to say something, anything, to reclaim some semblance of dignity. I hope she's worth it, Antonio. I really do, I said, my voice laced with a relief I couldn't hide. I packed my things that night, the silence of the house echoing the hollowness I felt inside. I closed the door behind me, leaving behind a life that was no longer mine. The night air felt crisp and refreshing, a stark contrast to the stifling atmosphere I had just escaped. As I walked away, I realized this was not an end, but a beginning. Moving into my rented apartment was like stepping into a new world, a clean slate where I could finally be myself. I took all the furniture and fancy appliances I had bought, leaving behind nothing but empty spaces in Antonio's family home. It cost quite the upheaval. I still remember the day Mrs. Rossi and Anna confronted me as I was loading the last of my things into the moving truck, their faces contorted with anger. "You can't just take all this stuff. It belongs in the house, Mrs. Rossi shouted, her face red with fury. Feeling a surge of defiance, I stood my ground. "It's mine, and I'm taking it with me. You're such a selfish beat." Anna spat, her eyes filled with hatred. "Martha, you think you can just walk away and take everything?" I shrugged, not letting their words get to me. "Call it what you want, but I'm done being your maid and your family's cash cow. I'm starting over." They were fuming as I drove away, their anger a pathetic echo in my rearview mirror. Settling into my new place, I reveled in the peace and quiet. It was small, but it was mine. The day I received the job offer from the prestigious medical center was the icing on the cake. The salary was nearly double what I was making before. I remember calling Sarah to share the news, my voice bubbling with excitement. "Guess what? I got a job offer from that famous medical center. It's a big leap in my career, and the pay is amazing." "Martha, that's fantastic. You totally deserve this. You're going to kill it," Sarah replied. The conversation was a stark contrast to the ones I had in Antonio's house. A reminder that I deserve to be valued and respected, not seen as just a means to an end. My first day of the new job was exhilarating. I was greeted with respect and enthusiasm, a world away from the dismissive treatment I had endured for so long. "Martha, we're thrilled to have you on board. Your expertise is going to be a great asset to our team, Mr. Johnson said with a genuine smile. I couldn't help but beam with pride. "Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I'm excited to be here and contribute to the center." Leaving the chaos of Antonio's family home and stepping into this new role was empowering. It felt like I had finally taken control of my life. The days of being undervalued and overburdened were behind me, both professionally and personally. That night, as I sat in my quiet living room, sipping a cup of tea, I felt a profound sense of peace. The struggles and hardships that led me to this moment had been worth it. For the first time in a long while, I was genuinely excited about what the future held. It was a regular evening in my new life, and I heard a forceful knock on my door. I opened it to find my ex-mother-in-law, Mrs. Rossi, standing there with an expression that reeked of desperation and frustration. "What do you want?" I asked, not hiding my annoyance. "Martha, you need to come back. Antonio's restaurant is tanking," she pleaded, her voice tinged with desperation. I couldn't help but snort. "Come back after the way you all treated me? You've got some nerve." She glared at me, her eyes filled with resentment. "You're part of this family. It's your responsibility to help us out." I crossed my arms, feeling a surge of defiance. "My only responsibility is to myself. I'm not your family's ATM, Mrs. Rossi. You ungrateful wench. You think you're too good for us now. Out sitting pretty in your fancy apartment." She spat, her face twisted with malice. I shook my head, amused by her audacity. "I'm not ungrateful. I'm just done being used." "What happened to that woman Antonio left me for?" Mrs. Rossi's face twisted in displeasure. "That gold digger. She left him as soon as the money trouble started. Shows what she was really after." I burst into laughter, the irony too rich to ignore. "Well, looks like karma really does come around. Do you think this is funny? We're struggling here, Martha," she shrieked. I leaned against the door frame, my resolve firm. "Not my circus. Not my monkeys anymore, Mrs. Rossi. I've moved on. You should too." Moringa palpable. "You'll regret this, Martha. When you're all alone and miserable, you'll wish you'd help." I smiled, the sense of freedom filling me with confidence. "I doubt that. Goodbye, Mrs. Rossi, and don't come back." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her, her threats echoing in the silence. That chapter of my life was closed for good. I was finally free from the toxic grasp of a family that never truly valued me. My life was my own now, life after the divorce and the last encounter with Mrs. Rossi felt like a breath of fresh air. I was thriving in my new job and enjoying my newfound independence. One day, as I was chatting with my colleague, Mike, he said, "Hey Martha, I heard about you running with the ex-mother-in-law. You okay?" Shaking my head, I replied, "More than okay, Mike. I'm just glad it's over." Mike smiled. "You've got some guts, Martha. Most people wouldn't have handled it as well as you did." Feeling a sense of pride, I said, I guess I just reached my limit. No more drama for me. The conversation shifted to work, and as I talked with Mike, I realized how much my life had improved. I was no longer weighed down by the negativity and manipulation of my former family. Later that week, I caught up with Sarah over dinner. She had been my steadfast supporter through all the ups and downs. "You look great, Martha. Really, like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders," Sarah observed as we sat in a cozy restaurant. I smiled, feeling a surge of gratitude. "Thanks, Sarah. It's been a journey, but I'm finally at a place where I feel happy and in control." Sarah raised her glass to new beginnings and to a friend who's shown what strength really is. "To new beginnings and to friends who stand by you through thick and thin," I replied. The evening was filled with laughter and positive conversations. As I lay in bed that night, I reflected on the changes in my life. I had faced adversity. I had learned my worth and vowed never to let anyone treat me as less than I deserve. The following morning, I received a text from Antonio. It was short and seemed filled with regret. "I'm sorry for everything, Martha. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me." I stared at the message for a long moment, the ghost of a smile playing on my lips. "What's my heartline free?" I took a deep breath and typed my reply. "Antonio, I've moved on. I forgive you. Take care." I was no longer bound by the past, and the future looked bright. I'd come out of this ordeal stronger and more resilient. As I prepared for work, I felt a sense of excitement about the possibilities that lay ahead. My journey has taught me about resilience, self-worth, and the importance of choosing my own happiness. I was ready for whatever life had in store for me, and I knew that no matter what, I had the strength to face it head on. So, Reddit, I need your honest opinion. Based on everything I've shared, do you think I handled the situation correctly? Was I right to walk away from that toxic environment, even if it meant facing the disapproval of my in-laws and the end of my marriage? I'm curious to hear your perspectives and experiences. So please share your thoughts freely. I'm ready to hear it all, good and bad, because your feedback is what I need to finalize and to learn from this crazy chapter of my life.